Hello, everyone. I'm Yelena, and I'm going to be your Cognos Analytics System Administrator. Tonight is our first session, and here is the agenda. I'm going to show you how to access Cognos Analytics environment, show you how to get started, including the interface navigation. We're going to talk about data sets versus data modules. We're going to talk about data preparation, data exploration, right, and more, okay? So I need to tell you that we have a lot to cover. This session is huge, but trust me, you will need to watch the recording more than once. This session is recorded. You will need to watch the recording or parts of this recording more than once. That's how it works, all right? So now let's get started. What is Cognos Analytics? This is a self-service and it has intuitive web-based interface. In other words, you have a data and Cognos Analytics will extract the useful insights about the data for you. It allows you to do the data exploration where you can just drag and drop the fields and it tells you the relationship among them. And then when you're looking at the visualization, the system will recommend any other visualizations, related visualizations that it thinks you might be interested to look at as well, right? So you may build interactive dashboard and stories, which we will cover in the next session. Then you may visualize, you may check which data is being visualized. And we are not covering reportings in this class, but just know that it's possible. All right. So now we know what Cognos Analytics is. Very important, please avoid using your browser back button because you might end up losing the work or you might also end up corrupting the account. Please don't do that. Now, deletions cannot be undone. There is no recycle bin like on your PC, right? So once you delete the file, that's it. If you delete the data, everything where you use the data as a source becomes permanently damaged. So you have to be careful. All right. Then you cannot copy and paste data from PC directly. I'll have to show you. Copy paste text from PC directly. I'll show you what you need to do. Now, please do not attempt to upload the data. All data that you need to use for assignments is already uploaded, okay? And I'll show you where to access. Always save your work. Very important. You must save your work. And please do yourself a favor. Start working on assignments early. All right? So it makes sense? Yeah, good evening, yes. All right, so now I'm gonna show you how to access. See this URL, vdi.umgc.edu? You need to put it in a browser, right? And it's gonna take you, well, I was signed in and it logged me off. So here it is, it's gonna take you to the Citrix session, right? You might be asked to enter your password. It depends. If you already signed into the classroom, then no. If you're not signed in the classroom, you're going to be asked to enter your username and password, right? Which is going to be your university email and your university password. How do you access your student email and how do you access Leo? This is a single sign-on, right? So I'm here right now. Right, so you're gonna see this Cognos shortcut. It might look a little bit different on your account, but it's Cognos. See this? It's gonna say IBM Cognos. Okay. So what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna click on it. Then I need to show you what's gonna happen. Here, you're gonna be asked for the Cognos username and Cognos password. What is your Cognos username? All of you have an email that ends with student.umgc.edu, right? The first part that is ahead of student.umgc.edu is going to be your username. That's your classroom username, in other words. Usually, it's the first letter of your first name, your last name, and maybe some numbers. So here is example, msmith@umgc.edu. The username is msmith. Password. Everybody's password is the same. So what I did, I took the word welcome, I changed letter E to number 3, right, which is above letter E on the keyboard. Then I put an exclamation point at the end because the password must have a special character, right? So this is what you're gonna do at this login page, right? You're gonna click here, it's gonna take you to the login page, right? You're gonna click here, click open. It's gonna ask you for your Cognos username, right? And your Cognos username is that first piece of your email, and then it's also gonna be your the password is welcome, right? Instead of letter E is number 3, right? W is the uppercase and the exclamation point. But for this demonstration, I will not use my admin account. I have a separate account that is created for this session, okay? Oops. I have a separate account that I created for this session, for this demo session, and the account has the same privileges as your accounts are. It has the same access, the same rights that your accounts, your student account have. It's just a demo account that I'm using right now, okay? Now, so what do you see in here? At the top, this is just a top bar. This is a clipboard. This is what you're gonna use to copy paste. If you have to paste text from your PC into Cognos, right, on VDI, you would have to open the clipboard. You're gonna copy to the clipboard first, then copy from the clipboard to wherever you need to be, right? So do not worry about uploading files. Please, please do not upload any data. The students who tried to do it in the past corrupted their account, so please don't do that. All data that you need to use is there, and I'll show you where. So what is you're looking at right now, this is the Cognos Analytics welcome page, right, home page. So what you see here, in the middle, you will see the files that you had recently opened. Just for this demo, I cleared everything that I had recently opened. So let's say you're starting from the beginning. This is going to be empty because you have not opened anything recently, right? Here you've got 2 folders. First folder is my content. In this folder, you will see everything that you have created. This is your area. Your classmates are not going to see it. Nobody else will see it besides you, right? All work at this point, all work that you save must be saved to my content area. That's your area, okay? Team content, there are a couple things going on in there. First of all, nobody will have permission to save anything in this area at the moment, okay? I will take care of it. When the time comes for assignment 5, there will be some separate settings, but for right now, nobody can write into team content folder, right? So what do you have in here? There are several subfolders. This one, calendars, get started, sample and templates. Those were pre-installed. When the Cognos was installed, these folders were pre-installed. There are some samples that you can look at if you're interested, okay? But what you need to use is this. Look, this folder here is very important. It's called Data for Data 610 Assignments. See this? So it's organized into subfolders. I have a separate subfolder for each assignment. For example, you have an assignment due next week, but I recommend doing it as soon as possible. It's called Getting Started Assignment. So when you click here, the data is here, right? What you will need to do is, remember, this is a team content. You will have to make a copy of this file to your content, right? So what you're gonna do is, for your assignment, you're gonna go here, you're gonna click here. This is called action menu. Action menu. So what you need to do is look at this, copy or move, and you're gonna select copy, but where? Look, this is here, my content. This is where you're gonna copy it, right? If you select move to, it's going to return an error because move to requires write permission to the source folder, right? So what you're going to do, you're just going to copy it, copy. And that will create a copy of the file to my content. See this? This is what you're going to do, okay? I hope it makes sense. Now, see here. Now, here it shows you where I am currently at, right? Then this is assignment 2. Housing data, you'll use housing data for assignment 2. Assignment 3 and 4. Assignment 4 is a continuation of 3. So for your assignment 3, you have several choices. You would need to choose one of these data sets, right? You have a choice, but you're gonna use the same data set for assignment 3 and 4, okay? And 5 is separate, we'll talk about later. If any of you would like to follow along this demonstration, right? So the data is here, this one, claims and weather. This is the data that I'm gonna use for today's demo. If you'd like to follow along, you will need to make a copy of this data to your content, right? My content. You have another area in here, recent. Right now it's empty, but what you see here is everything that you opened recently, okay? And it will also show in here as styles, right? Now, what else do we have here? Suppose that you don't quite remember where you saved the file, you can search, right? So the search here, it's going to return the files that you have access to. For example, housing, you have access to the data and it shows where the data is, right? But later on, as you start doing the work, you're going to have more stuff, right? So sometimes you might not remember where exactly, because see, in my content, you can create folders or subfolders, right? So see that here, I can click on new and I create folder and I can call it assignment 2. Just an example, right? And you can save files in that folder. See that? Now, as it starts getting busy, you can filter stuff here. For example, you can filter to see just the folders, you can filter to see just the data, and etc. And you can do some search in here. Now I'm gonna clear all filters, clear. Okay. I was just showing you what you can do. It's just an interface, okay? Now let's move on. So that's just the interface. Okay. Oh, another thing, this is a switchable menu. If you have files open, they will appear here. And you switch between files just from selecting them from this menu. Do not use browser back button. That's danger. Okay. Now, this is where the data for assignments is. I just explained and it also spelled it out in here. You're gonna have a copy of this slides deck, okay? What are we gonna be looking at tonight? We're gonna be working at the insurance data, right? Basically, the data has the customer information, including the state where the customer lives, right? And it has some demographics like the marital status and some of the like gender, employment status, etc. It has an information on individual car insurance policy, what car the person drives and what coverage type, and also the accident information. And based on that, we're trying to estimate the total claim amount, right? So this data set is more about estimating the total claim amount. We know the customer information, we know how much the customer pays monthly, we know the customer's income, etc. Right? We know what type of accident it is. So that's the data. But take a look at this. What do I see? I see some missing values in there, right? And we're going to talk about the ways you can handle them, okay? We're going to talk about the ways to handle those missing values. But take a note, a lot of records that are missing effective dates are also missing a bunch of other fields. So later tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to exclude the rows that miss an effective to date, right? But take a note, how effective to date is missing. It's also missing a lot of other fields, okay? Then you have another field called monthly premium. It has additional values missing. We will have to discuss how we handle it. But before we do that, first of all, for your assignment that is due next week, you're going to use the data set. For going forward, you're going to use the data module. Let's talk about the differences. Both data set and data modules can be used as a source for visualization. You save them, you may save them. You will be saving them in my content, but also appear in team content that was uploaded for you. Once data is deleted, remember that everything that you create from it will be invalid. There is no way to fix it, okay? But what's actually the difference? Data set is just Microsoft Excel or CSV file that was uploaded. You cannot make any changes. It means you cannot add filters, you cannot add any calculations to it. You cannot preview the data directly, all right? It just created while the data was uploaded, and there was something was done, some analysis were done in the background, right? So first assignment, you're gonna use it straight, that's it. But the thing is, when you get to analysis for your assignment 2, you will need to add filters, you will need to add calculations, and etc. But suppose that you want to create multiple explorations, right? You don't want to be redoing the calculations and filters again, right? You want the work to be reusable. So that's where it comes, the data module. You may customize the data by adding calculations and filters. You can use it as a source for another module. We're not going to do that in this course, but just keeps it in mind, right? And you may preview the data directly, right? So that's what data module is. You're going to define all filters on data module, all of the calculations, then you're going to use data module to build visualization, okay? Another thing, very important, your assignment 2 will remain unavailable until you submit the initial assignment. And the goal of initial assignment is to show the professor that you have access to your Cognos account, right? You have access, you know where the data are located for assignments, then you can do something like access data, apply some filters, something, okay? Now, we're going to create a data module. What you're going to do, take a look at this in my content, right? I already have this claims and weather file. What I'm going to do is this. See this, I click here. This is called action menu. And I'm going to select create data module from this action menu. Now what's happened? By default, it's called new data module, but we're going to save it. And the way you save it is this floppy disk, right? So you're going to click on this. You're going to click on, this is my content. And I want to save it as claims and weather data module, right? Something like that. I want to save my file. Always save your file. Now, take a look at it. This is now the file name. If you see an asterisk next to file name, it means your latest change was not saved. No asterisk, it means you're good, you saved. Here, when you click here, this is actually shows you, this is a data that was used to create a data module. See this? But remember, there were missing values, right? Okay, there were some missing values. And right now, instead of missing values, it shows as what? Null. Missing value will appear as null. So if it's a null, it means the value is missing, okay? Notice that this column here, the heading is grayed out. Why? Because it's a hidden column. The column is hidden, it means that it's not available for analysis. It's not visible for analysis, but you can use it as part of calculations in the data module if needed, okay? Now, another thing is that over here, this is a list of columns, right? Each column has a different icon. The column icon shows a different, it's based on the data type, right? So here, where this is a row ID, it's hidden. But if you want to make it visible, you would just have to go to the see here, show to users. We'll make it visible, and hide from users will make it hidden, right? And then suppose that you want to look at the properties, right? Like for example, customer. I want to look at the customer properties, right? I'm gonna click on properties here, and it shows me label is what? The label, the column name in here. Here it shows if the column is visible or hidden from users. Expression. Expression, it tells where it's getting the data from. So in this case, it's taking the data from that Excel file, column name customer, right? There will be a case today when we're going to be editing an expression. We'll get to it. There will be one column where we have to edit it. Okay, now here, identifier, well, okay, here, aggregate. Aggregate tells us how data is being summarized. For example, suppose that I want to summarize this column by the state. It's going to show the number of distinct customers in the state. This is what it means, okay? It will show the number of distinct customers in the state. Okay, and you can change this, and I'll show you. But here, comments, you can add optional comments that describe the column. Screen tip is what you see when you hover your mouse over the column. All right. All right. So this is about just the properties, okay? And if you take a look at this here, it picks up that this is the location column, right? Claim amount, you've got, so this is this is a measure, right, which is a numeric column. But here, the problem is here, well, let's actually look at the total claim amount, and I'm going to change it here. Here's this total claim amount. The problem is here, if I want to summarize this column by the state, at the moment, the way it's set up is going to provide the sum of all claims by the state. This is not what I want, right? I want to do the average claim amount, right? If I summarize this column, claim amount, I want to look at the average. So I have several options here. I can change it on each visualization by itself, or I can change it here. And that's it. I'll be all set for all visualizations where I use this column, right? So I just change, because for total claim amount, if I summarize it by state perhaps, or if I summarize it for claim reason, you want to see the average, right? And probably we want to do something similar for the income, because you don't want to calculate the sum of all incomes in the state, perhaps. You want to look at the average income, right? Oh, but take a look, I just made a change, so you have to save it. You need to save it. Otherwise, if power goes down, your change is going to be lost, okay? Now, so let's go back here. What I did here, I just spelled out different parts of the data module. One thing I forgot to tell you that this guy's here. This is undo and redo. You can undo, redo several changes, okay? Just remember that. I know that deletions cannot be undone, but suppose that you change this here, right? If you want to undo it, you can just do undo. Several changes can do undo, redo, okay? Now, so we've got that. So far should be so good. This is just the column properties, and we just talked about it, right? So usage is based on the column data type. So identifier columns are used for the for grouping usually, okay? Measure is a numerical data that can be summarized, right? So just know that. Then you also have some text columns that are neither identifier nor measures. They can store some geographical location, something like that, okay? Now, data preparation. What is data preparation? Well, sometimes you have to add filters. Like, for example, in our case, we have some data that's missing too many column values, right? Sometimes you want to exclude certain rows. You want to hide certain columns from the view, from user's view. Like, for example, if my data stored the customer username, this is a sensitive information. I want to hide user first name and last name from analysis, right? Another part is handle missing values. How do you handle missing values? Well, you may remove rows, you may impute. For example, if you have a income, right, missing income values, you can set it to the column average, okay? If most of the values are missing in a column, you can just hide the column, or you can treat the missing values as a separate category. Like, for example, if you have something like I believe it's a claim type, some claim types are null, some claim types are missing, and you can set it to other if it's missing. And I have a set of videos that are also posted in the classroom. And one of the videos shows you how to treat the missing value of the claim type as other, okay? Then sometimes you may want to handle outliers, unusually large, unusually small values. You may add calculations, right? There are basic calculations, or calculations can involve multiple fields, or we're going to use the calculations editor. You can add the data groups and navigation paths, right? Okay, I showed you how to hide the column, right? We talked about that. Now, well, next thing, we can add a filter. What is a filter? Filter specifies the condition that the row must meet to stay. Remember, there are two types of filter, okay? The first type of filter is embedded. It's when the filter applies right away. You're going to specify which rows need to stay, and the rows that don't need to stay are gone. Second part of the filter is called selectable filter, where you're going to define them in the data module, but you're going to use them as needed. Whenever you have a visualization, you can apply it to the visualization, but the filter does not take effect immediately, okay? So let's see what we're gonna do here. Here it's like killing two birds in one stone. What we're gonna do is we're gonna exclude the rows without effective to date. So what you're gonna do, remember there are two filters here, right? But in this case, you want to select this filter, see? So now let's go here. Let's go to the Cognos. Well, what I want to do is I take this and I'm going to select manage filters. Manage filter, I'm going to click on, well, I don't want to use a column. I want to use expression edit. See this? I want to use expression edit. I'm going to click on add filter. A very important, filter names must be descriptive, right? So I'm going to say this effective to date, effective to date, not missing, right? Now, well, as you remembered it, right? You saw a bunch of rows with missing effective to date. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna define this criteria, but take a look. When I click here, here is a list of fields, right? So what do I need? I need effective to date, right? I can just drag and drop my field in here, effective to date. But now in here, we have a bunch of operators. And in this case, we need an operator called what? Not missing, right? Well, it's not missing, this one. Okay, so this is a filter. Effective to date is not missing. Well, this is an expression. Well, we all make errors, right? So we need to make sure that expression is valid. In this case, it's valid. Effective to date is missing. What you're gonna do next? Do not click on X. You need to click on OK. All right, give it a little bit of time. All right, right now it's filtered. It filtered all rows where effective to date is unspecified. Okay, so this is one way I showed you how to handle missing value by filtering rows that here effective to date is missing, right? And see this? The filter shows up now here. You can always click here to edit it, right? If you need to make changes to it, right? So that was the embedded filter. It applied immediately, right? Here, effective to date is not missing. That's a criteria for the rows to stay. There is another type of filter called selectable filter. Now, in this case, sometimes I want to run my analysis on cars that have a personal policy type and the vehicle type is small, okay? So this is an expression. I want to say my policy type contains the word personal and vehicle size contains small, but I do not actually want to filter the data. I want to be able to use the data as I need to, okay, as I want to. So what we're gonna do this time is we're gonna define a different type of filter, right? So that's gonna be what? Selectable type of filter. I'm gonna go here and I use this filter here in this case. I use this. Very important, filter name must be descriptive and I'll show you why. Okay, so now here, this is what do I call it? I call it a personal policy for small vehicle. I'm gonna call it here personal policy for small vehicle, right? Okay, so now in this case, I already have an expression. I want to copy and paste, right? How do I copy and paste? Can I do it directly? No. So what I need to do here is this. I'm gonna go to my slides, right? Okay, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna do this copy, right? Control C. Now I'm going back to here, right? And what I need to do is I need to take this here. This is a clipboard. I'm gonna paste it to the clipboard. And now I'm gonna paste it here. And this is gonna return an error, and I'll show you. It's on purpose, it has an error. So how do we do this? We're gonna what do we do? We're gonna run this, right? I'm gonna click validate and it's gonna have an error. Do you know why? Okay, because of this quote here. It does not like the word quotes. You have to put like this. Now it's gonna show, now it's gonna be correct. I'm gonna do validate again, it's correct, okay? But I showed you what happens if there is an error. Another thing in here is that sometimes this is called prettify. You want this to be easy to read, right? So that's what prettify is. Well, sometimes preview, but I don't think preview is gonna help this time. because you're not doing the calculation, okay? Well, it's not helpful in this case because we're not doing the, oh, wait a minute, it calculated to 0. It just calculates to whether rows is excluded or not. That's what it's doing here. Just calculating you if the row will be excluded or not. So that's something new. But anyways, so here I type this expression. Very important, this must be descriptive name, okay? And when we get to explorations, I'll show you why. Okay, so I'm gonna click on OK, right? What else do I need to do? Very important, do you see this asterisk here? It means that my latest change was not saved. If I was gonna get the power outage or something, goodbye, right? The work is goodbye. Okay, so now that was what? The selectable filter. And if you noticed, it did not actually filter anything. So, but because that filter is not applied right away, it will apply when as needed, and I'll show you. And take a look at this. It appears here like a column. It's listed as a column here. Okay. Now, that's the selectable filter. Now we're gonna look at another way to handle missing values just by replacing the average, right? Income. Some people here, some data is missing income, right? So what we're gonna do here, the whole idea is this: if income value is missing, then we're gonna take average. Otherwise, we're gonna take it as is. So this is a case when you need to edit the expression for that column. I'm gonna go to find this income. It's in here. See this income? This is expression. You're gonna open it in expression editor. And here you can type it, or you can also, if you take a look at this, there is if you click here, in addition to function, you have this construct. And in this case, we're using if then else construct, right? If, what is the condition? The condition is this: income, right, is missing, right? If income is missing, then we do something. Otherwise, we keep it as income. We keep it as is, right? What's gonna happen if income is missing? We're gonna take an average income, right? So here it is, that's gonna be in the summaries. You can drag and drop summary. You can drag and drop, or you can just type it. Average. This is called type ahead. It's trying to find out what you want, right? Income. Okay, income. But well, to make sure, I just take this for the fields. I don't take a risk. I just go in and do this. Okay. Okay, so basically what it's doing, if income is missing, then it's going to do the average, overall average. Otherwise, it's going to keep it straight as is. And validate. You have, oops, the expression is valid. So see, I have to see what I did wrong. Okay. Oh well, I'm gonna cheat because I have this expression working here. I'm gonna cheat. Okay. So what I'll do here now is this one here. I'm gonna go here, paste, Control A, and go select everything here and Control E. Okay. Somewhere I messed up. So see this? If income is missing, right? In here in parentheses, income is missing. That's a condition. Then average income, otherwise income. Let's see. So that's prettify. It's easier to read, and I'm gonna do validate. That should be good. Okay. I don't know where I messed up, but this is correct syntax. Okay. Now let's do this. Let's go. Okay. Okay. Now let's see. It's gonna do the average. Okay. Well, if you go through income, do you see this here? It's because of it's taking the average. If I wanted to, I can do the rounding, right? But I just keep it as is for right now. Okay. So you see this here? This is a calculated. It's taken the income was missing. It calculated the average of the whole data set. Okay. And you could do the same thing for the monthly premium. You can do the average, right? Okay. So that just shows you how to handle missing values. Okay. Oh, next topic will be data exploration. So what I'm gonna do with this right now, I'm going to save it, okay? And we're gonna return to it. We're gonna do calculations later, so return to it. I'm gonna close this. Next topic is data exploration. What is it? Well, basically, sometimes you want to see the relationship among different fields in the data. You want to do visualization. It's basically to get insights about the data, right? Well, take a look at this. What happened? This is what you had recently opened. It now appears here and it now appears on recent, right? So how do I create a data exploration? There are multiple ways. I can access my data from recent data module, right? Or I can access it from my content if I want to, or from here, right? What you have, this is called an actions menu, and you want to select create exploration. Now, what you're gonna see, here I might be going in the order slightly different from slides, but well, let's see what you see here. Does it look familiar? Those are the fields in your data, right? You remember you had a hidden column ID, it does not show here because it's hidden from user. What is this? This is a selectable filter that we defined. And if I did not name it descriptive, if I did not put descriptive name, there is no way in the world to tell what I defined this without going back to data module. No way to tell what this is unless you use the descriptive name. And you don't want to be going back and forth, right? To figure out what is that. So kind of try to use descriptive names. It's much easier. You save yourself a lot of time. Now, what I forgot to do, I've been yelling at people to do this and I forgot to do it myself. You need to save it, right? So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go save it. And you need to save it in your content, right? Or you can also save it in a subfolder in your content, but it has to be in your content. And you're gonna save it as what? Let's say I can say claims and weather exploration, right? Exploration. Exploration file will consist a set of cards. Each visualization is added as a card. But here those are the fields. And similarly, I can see the fields properties if I want to, right? I can see how the fields are summarized, etc. Okay? Like for example, customers is gonna just count the customers. If I wanted to, sure, I could change the way income is summarized here. But the problem is, well, I could do it, but then when I create another data exploration file, I would have to do it again. When I create my dashboard file, right, the file to present the data, I'm gonna have to do it again. I don't want to do the same work multiple times. So I change some properties in the data module, right? And then take advantage of that. So that's similar, right? You've got this. What is it here? Well, at the time when the data was being uploaded, Cognos tried to see the relationship in the data. In here, this is a diagram, well, and each column is represented as a little pin. A little bit of housekeeping, you may want to close this panel, okay? Now here, each column is represented as a pin. Over here, it just shows you, gives you the suggestions at what exactly you want to analyze. I know that in this data set, the purpose is to look at the total claim amount. But in general, you could predict monthly premium, outer, and etc. But with this data, it's better to look at total claim amount. Hint, your assignment 2 is going to be house value. For assignment 2, you'll be looking at the house value. Okay? Just hint. Okay, so here, this is a total claim amount. Each column is represented as a pin. The line connecting two pins shows the strength of the relationship between two columns. Like for example, see that there is an arc between what? Employee status and in income. And the relationship strength is 50%. So here's the total claim amount, right? And well, and the vehicle class, right? So I get the relationship strengths in here. Now, what you could do, look here, I click on the total claim amount, and in here, it's gonna give me the suggested visualizations that I might be interested to look at. For example, I may want to look at the average total claim amount. I may look at this is called the driver analysis. I like it. Let's go ahead and add this card. All the visualizations in your workbook, right? In the exploration will be added as cards, right? So that's card. I can, if I want to, I can just go ahead and add the visualizations that were given for me by the application, right? I can click on see more and etc. Right? Also, what I can do in here, I can select the two, right? I can select two fields. Like for example, claim amount and vehicle class, right? I selected two pins and my visualizations will be adjusted. So see this? It will be adjusted. For example, I want to see the total claim amount, average total claim amount by vehicle class. I'm just going to click here. Okay, so those are the suggested visualizations that you can reuse. Okay. Now, what you could also do, you can create new visualizations. And I'll show you. So that was the relationship, right? You remember that. Next thing, I'm going to show you, we're going to create the brand new visualization. What I can do is this. I can click on choose type. And I'm going to do the driver analysis, spiral. Oh, spiral, let's do spiral, okay? Well, this is a spiral visualization, but again, see that this is called the data slots. There are certain things that I need to specify in order to see visualization. This is a bullseye visualization, in other words. You specify here the target, which is total claim amount. You just drag and drop into the target slot, okay? Well, what this will do is it will show you the drivers of the total claim amount, which field or combination of fields could determine or drive the total claim amount. And remember here you have a one driver. This is a one column, right? Driver. This is a two column driver, and this is a multiple column. You can toggle to unclick. Now, well, take a look at this. This is a vehicle class. Vehicle class is the one-way driver with the highest predictive strength. Now remember that this has a highest predictive strength, one-way driver. This is going to be the column that is used as a force split. When we do the decision trees shortly, vehicle class is going to be the column that is a force splitting column. Force splitting column is going to be one-way driver with the highest predictive strength. And here it's showing the drivers with predictive strength above 10%, I believe that we call. It's about above 10%. See this? I can toggle. I can see the two drivers, etc. Well, each pin here, right? Each combination of drivers is represented as a pin. The closer the pin to the center, the stronger is the strength, right? Here. Well, this is just the bullseye view, but unfortunately you cannot see the visualizations right here. You just can click and see the strengths and the columns list. You cannot see, but what you can do, there is another visualization, and I call it sliced, this diagram sliced. And I edited it earlier. This is a driver analysis. So this is what we just looked at, but it's sliced. See this? This is predictive strength, and each combination, each driver is represented as a dot. So now you can click on this dot and you can see the actual visualization. Okay. Well, so see that this is an income total claim amount, right? So that's that. In here, oh, that was the good one, right? Total claim amount by vehicle class. This is very important one. Well, because I told you that the vehicle class has what the highest. That's a driver with the highest predictive strength, right? So this visualization could be important, but also visualization type that is being selected is based on what? On the data type of the columns, right? So here just showing you the vehicle class, and it's showing you the average total claim amount. Remember, it's an average because I changed it to an average. I don't want to see the sum of all claim amounts. Average makes more sense, right? Well, then when I click on others here, well, this is going to be two drivers. So you have monthly premium, right? Marital status, and how those drive the total claim amount. So here you're looking at the combination of drivers, right? And this one here also, see this? Yeah. So basically, you can add these visualizations If you want to, you can add each of these visualization cards. But, well, this is the most interesting. This is the most interesting. This is a decision tree or total claim amount. When you have a combination of columns, right? 3 columns or 4 columns, this is gonna do decision tree, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and add this card. There are multiple ways to add decision tree. You can create it as a brand new visualization, or I can just go click here. It's gonna add the decision tree card. Let's see. It's supposed to work. Oh, here it is. Now we're gonna talk about multiple things in here. Well, see, this is right now it's looking at the tree diagram, and here it's just some details, right? It tells you that these 3 columns, vehicle class, employment status, and marital status coverage, they are the strongest predictors. And this is just the tree. So basically the way you do is you traverse the tree from left to the right, okay? So this top node here, it's called the root node, and the bottom nodes, they're called either leaf node or terminal node. They could be called multiple ways. But first, what you can do is you can collapse, right? Let's collapse everything, because I want to show you slowly. I need to show you how to read this, right? So, and just remember this for the assignment, when you submit a screenshot, you may want to expand only the sessions that you want to discuss. You don't need to expand everything because it will be impossible to take the screenshot, right? So I'm gonna collapse this. I'm gonna collapse this. Everything collapse here. Okay, collapse. Okay, well, what is this? This bar represents the entire data set. If I hover, it's gonna tell me the average total claim amount, the standard deviation, right? And the total, it means that all data. This is 9,000 something rows in the data. And this is all data. Now, do you remember I told you what happens? The driver, the one driver with the highest predictive strength is going to be used as a first split. So that's a vehicle class. Now, how do we read this? We're going to check what the value of the vehicle class is. If the vehicle class is 2-door, we're going to take this path, right? If it's 2-door or 4-door. If it's SUV or sports car, we take this path. And we take the third path if it's a luxury SUV, luxury car. The color code of the node tells you how the relative value, right? Relative total claim amount. The darker, the higher, right? So here, I know that my vehicle class is a 2-door. Just an example. If you hover, you're gonna see the average claim amount of all for claims that fall into this here, into this branch. You see the standard deviation, and you're gonna see the number of records to which it applies. So you can see that most of your data is what? 2-door car or 4-door car. Now, am I done? No, I continue. I click here. Well, I know that most of my data falls in here, so I want to look at this. Next one is the employment. I'm gonna see if the person is employed or if the person is on medical leave or unemployed. Suppose that we're going to look at the employed. Well, take a look at this. I hover and I can see the employment status is employed. This is their average claim amount, their the standard deviation, and the total. So how many records, right, fall here? 45%, right? And this one, I can hover here too and see, right? 9%, and here is a small, right? Let's collapse it. So basically, sometimes first I want to look at the data. I want to look at the rules that describe most of the data, right? That's probably first thing. So it's here. Now what I'm gonna do? I'm not done, right? Well, that's unemployed. I can click here to expand the employed. What is next? Next is gonna check the monthly premium, right? And suppose that monthly premium is, well, see here, I hover again and it tells me the percentage and the average. Suppose that monthly premium is under 94. I'm gonna click in here, then it's gonna see which column it's split in again. Next, that's gonna be vehicle size. I click here, this is it. I arrive to the terminal node. There is no more splits, right? So here, this is a rule. If vehicle class is 2-door or 4-door, and then the person is employed, his monthly premium under 94, and the vehicle size is medium and large. This is an approximate total claim amount. Average is 254. Okay. Okay. On the other hand, if the vehicle size, if all of these criteria are still the same, but vehicle size is small, okay, this is going to be the average claim amount. Basically, the idea is we know what class it is. We know vehicle class. We know the employment status. We know monthly premium. We know this information. How do we estimate the total claim amount? We need to traverse the tree. Okay, we just traverse the tree. I was looking at this branch, right? Collapse. But here also, this one is less dominant. There are some luxury cars, and take a look at their claim amount. Well, of course, the more expensive the car, the higher the claim amount, right? Makes sense, right? So here, it just, well, if you don't have a lot of luxury cars, it doesn't mean that this data is not important. You still want to look at which cars have the highest, right? And you're going to traverse the tree, okay? So this is, you look at the rules. Decision tree diagram shows you the rules. The sunbars diagram rather shows you the percentage of the data to which the rule applies, okay? Well, so here, for example, see this, you have the first split in what the vehicle type, right? See here, this is most of your vehicle classes, and most of your data is two-door car, right? Now I click on it, and here it's going to show what employed and unemployed, right? It drills down to two-door car for the two-door four car. And what does it correspond on the tree diagram? It's here. And I created a video where I look at the sunburst and the tree diagram together. So here, by looking here, you see the rule. By looking here, it's a good visualization of the portion of data to which the rule applies. So you know that most of your data is what? Two-door, four-door cars, and the people are employed. And then I click on more, right? And I can see more. See this? And most of the people, right, they're employed, and most of those employed people pay under 94 per month. And this is dominant, right, mid-size, large. So here you can just see which rules applies to most of the data, right? But again, if the rule doesn't applies to least of the data, it doesn't mean that it's not important. You want to look at this too, right? Somehow. Okay, now here, those are the rules just written. This is a predicted value, an average value, and here it just shows the vehicle class, luxury SUV. This is the employment status, and etc. So basically, people who fall under this profile, right? This is going to be their estimated total claim amount. So when you have a new record, you try to determine where it falls under, right? Well, I would probably traverse the tree. You have things that are known, and you traverse the tree to figure out what's an average claim amount, right? Just you estimating it. Here I can order by predicted values. See this? Well, this is it also shows you the percentage of records. So we know that this is dominant. You have 30% of records that meet this condition. And this is their predicted value, okay? So you can look at the rules, you can look at the tree diagram, and look at the sunburst. And it's better to look at it together, okay? Another thing that you will have to do is you will need to, for your assignment, this is going to be an assignment 3, you will have to look at different combination of drivers. You have to do 2 models. So what you're going to need to do is, if you click here, you see edit drivers. You can exclude the columns that you use in driver analysis, okay? So if I don't want to use, for example, the claim amount, because I have a total claim amount, I can exclude it, right? If I don't want to use education, I can exclude it. And then I click OK, right? So you're gonna get a slightly different model, or you can apply a filter, right? So what you'll need to do is for assignment 3, you have to do 2 decision trees. You can look at the subset, like for example, maybe I wanted to look only at the luxury cars and see how to estimate the total claim amount for luxury cars. So just an example, okay? You can filter here by the fields that you want to look at the drivers. You can filter out, okay? Just know that. So that was what about the decision trees, right? Well, and I created there are like 3 videos. You'll see that. And if you watch those videos more than once, it will tell you what to do for assignment 3. Okay, this is 3. But also, we need to worry about assignment 2. So, well, you're going to see decision trees, part of decision trees and 2. You're going to see in assignment 2 also. But decision trees are more in depth in assignment 3. Okay, now, so here are my visualizations, right? So this is the total claim amount for vehicle class. What do I have in here? For these visualizations, if I want to, I can see related visualizations. I click here and I can see related. See this? Well, in here, for example, I can see the monthly premium by vehicle class. What do? I can just click add cart and it's going to add the new visualizations to my workbook, right? It added new visualizations to my workbook. That's another way to add visualizations. Now here, if you look at this total claim amount, average claim amount by vehicle class, also here, this is giving you some details, some insights. You're not going to copy this into your assignment. You want to explain things in your own ways, in your own words, but here it just shows you, okay? Now in here, this is called the data slots. So it means that the bars, see here, this asterisk, it means it's a required field. So for the bars, it's specified vehicle class, and the bar length is the total claim amount in this case, okay? Notice that you cannot change how the visualization appears. You cannot add text, you cannot change titles, etc. This is because it's an exploration workbook. We're gonna work on how to customize the appearance in the next session, right? But here, this is not to present. This is just to use to gain insight. So that's another way to add visualizations, just by related visualization, okay? Or in here, well, this is a bar plot. I can change visualization, okay? Like in here, I can do this plot, or I can do the line plot, right? I can do this if I want to. Now I did this, but suppose that I don't like it. What can I do about it? I can undo, okay? You can still undo, right? Oh, another thing that you can do you see this? You have the vehicle class, right? An average claim amount, but also what you could do, you could apply the filters. Remember, we defined the filter earlier, right? So those are my fields. See this? This is a personal policy type for small vehicle, right? So what I could do if I want, I can apply this filter to my visualization. So I can drag and drop, and if it works, see this, you have to hover. There we go. So right now, my visualizations are limited only to personal policy insurance coverage and for the small vehicle type. See this? I can apply. I don't need to define my filter again. I can just drag and drop to visualizations. There we go. Easy, right? I don't need to redefine. And this is a personal policy coverage type for the small vehicle, okay? Remember, we did vehicle size is small, right? This is vehicle class, but we did vehicle size. And then we did also the personal. Policy type contains personal, something like that, okay? So you can apply the filters like this. I just showed you. This was a selectable filter that I just applied, okay? Save. Another way to add visualizations, and I have a video on that also. This is called the embedded assistant. So the whole idea behind this is that what if I ask questions in English and make this answer it for me? Well, I type the word data, it's going to tell me what data I have access to. This is the data. Here, one way here you could type show source and put the name of the data module. If you type show source and put the name of the data module, that's going to show you the columns that are in your data module and their data types, okay? Like for example, total claim amount is a continuous. It has outliers is relatively low or relatively high values. This just shows it's a monetary, right? And this is the value repetition, like how often the values repeat, etc. Those are other columns. right? Like number of policy, marital status, you see it's categorical, right? Well, if it's identified, it means it's good for the summary. Like, for example, I can summarize my data by marital status, right? This is an income, and etc. There are more. If I want to see the details for specific column, I can click on it. Alternatively, I can type this command, show column total claim amount, right? I can do that. Well, I'm gonna show the details on the column. Also, in here, you can select another column. So here are some interesting fields related to total claim amount. Well, maybe monthly premium auto is related, right? I can click here, and this is gonna show me what? Some visualizations, right? It's gonna show you some visualizations. Well, you can just scroll through, see this? It shows you total relationship between total premium and total claim amount. I don't really like this visualization, but you can just, select. Maybe I like this visualization. What I can do, this new single card, right? And then I can take this and I can drag and drop in here. This will create this visualization card to my workbook, right? Well, and see here, I click here, and what do I see? Those are the insights, right? Those are the insights. I can read this. See this, like for example, this is monthly premium is correlated to vehicle class, 77%, well, etc. Those are the insights and what's the visualization. I can also click details. Sometimes there are details, sometimes they're not. But see here, data slots also. See, I've got, see, basically those are required. But I can do, if I want to, I can repeat this visualization for each, let's see. So I don't want to repeat for each state, but perhaps I want to repeat this for each gender, right? So I'm going to do gender. It's going to repeat this visualization for each gender. One for male, one for female, right? Well, then if you want, you can use it for comparison. You want to see, okay, does the gender have an impact on the claim amount, right? Given the same premium order. So see this is a female, this is a male. You can compare it like this, if you like. Okay, there is an alternative way to do comparison, and I'll show you. But here, if you have multiple, right, that's nice and easy. Okay, so that is using assistant. See this, and it saved all what I did. It's saved here. Okay, and you can also look at related visualizations. You can look at what influences the values of the column, etc. Well, this is related. It may think something else I might be interested in based on what I'm looking at right now. Okay, so that's that. An assistant can be accessed also here. Okay, two places where you can access it. Okay, well, next thing is what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the navigation path. So here is the data, right? Oops. Now, well, I know that some of my data is in geographical location. I have a state, right? And I have the location within the state, right? Like a rural or etc. So what I want to do is, suppose that I want to have a visualization where I can drill down, right? I can create navigation path. For this purpose, for right now, I'm going to create the navigation path in here, in this exploration. But I need to keep in mind that any calculation, any navigation path that I create here will be available only here. I won't be able to reuse it in another data exploration file. But that's okay, let's do this. Let's create a navigation path, okay? So what I want to do is I want to select the state, right? Which is, I can do the state code, and then I want to select the location code, okay? State code, location code, two fields, come on. Okay, so here is by default, it's gonna tell me the fields that I use in a hierarchy, state code, location code. Well, maybe the easier way to explain your location hierarchy is this. Suppose that I want to look at the assignment one. You just finished assignment one. I want to look at the assignment one average score, right? So one way to look at it is to look at overall data 610, assignment one average score, right? But I can also look at assignment one average score by session. So this is called the hierarchy. the course and then the session within each course. Or maybe then I can look at further by gender, right? So that's going to be another level. That's another way to show. So like here, for example, I can look at number of people in each state, and then I can look at number of people by location within state. So this is a hierarchical data. Sometimes also another example would be if you have something like year, months, and day. You want to look at the counts per day, perhaps. You want to look at monthly, and you want to look at yearly, right? No, that's another way to break down, right? You want to look at the year totals, perhaps, and you want to look totals by month within a year, and then maybe like a by day within a month. That's another example. Some data are hierarchical. So in here, just state and location code within the state. I created this hierarchy. Now what I can do, I can create a brand new visualization. And in this case, choose type, I'm going to do the tree map, okay? Well, I'm going to do the tree map, but wait a minute. I need to specify what I want to visualize. And I'm going to do the state code. I'm going to do the state code. But what's going to be the size? I want the size to be the customer, the number of customers. Do you remember we looked at aggregation? Aggregation tells us, do you remember this? If I look at the properties for customer, aggregation tells us how the data is being summarized. So right now, I'm going to be looking at number of customers in each location. So the size of this each square is number of customers. Well, do you see this? What is it doing? It's going to show me the relative number of customers for the state. What I could also do, I could click here. It's going to show me the data that is being visualized. See this different states and the number of customers in each state, right? But I have another level of hierarchy. Like, for example, this is a Missouri, right? What I could do in Missouri, I could click here, and this is a drill down, right? And then I'm going to see this location code in the state of Missouri, rural, suburban, urban. See this? I'm drilling down, and it shows me the number of customers per location code, right? And then I can go back up if I want. Oops, I just click here, and this is to go back up. I have a video where I'm doing the hierarchy with 3 levels. So you might want to watch it too, okay? Well, this is the hierarchy, navigation path. I defined it here. The problem with doing it here is that it's going to be available only in this workbook. It will not be available anywhere else, okay? If I want it to be available in other exploration workbooks, I have to define it in a data module. Now let's go back to slides. I know things were in different order because you can present things differently. So now, remember how we added visualizations? There are multiple ways, right? Well, or you can also just drag and drop the fields like this. See, I can do this here, new link, and I can just take this field. I can just take this field and drag and drop. Okay, that's going to be the state. And I can take this field and drag and drop. It's going to change. Well, just know it. You can drag and drop fields. So see this? It just changed it for me. Right? So if I don't like this visualization card, I can go ahead and delete. See? Okay, so now you know that. We talked about multiple ways to add visualizations. And what is this? This is, tells me I have 8 cards, and you can just navigate between your cards like this, or you can also navigate between your cards here. Okay? Now let's go back. We covered a lot of slides. Don't worry about the number of slides in here. We talked about the relationship diagram, right? It does not show the cardinalities. Remember that. Okay? The line thickness represents the relationship strength. That's what it is. Okay? Now, well, we talked about the suggested visualizations here. We talked about the embedded assistant, and I created the whole video on that, right? That's more an embedded assistant. So see this, we covered a lot of slides here. Okay, and this is another thing. You can type in what influences total claim amount, and it's going to give you a list of fields that influences. You can click on each field and see visualization. All right, so that basically shows you different ways to show visualizations in your data. This is just shows you assistant. You can just drag and drop this visualization, and that's it. You just edit, right? Okay, we talked about this. I just created the navigation path, state and location code. And then I'm using this to build the hierarchical, okay? So you have customers across the state, and then within each state, you can look at number of customers across the location code, right? And I showed you that. All right. Now we're gonna get to calculation. Well, there's a little bit, order is a little bit different, but we're gonna do calculation right now. So to do the calculations, I would recommend that we save this and that we go back to data module. Why? Because I want my calculation to be available everywhere else, right? I can create another exploration workbook, or I can create, next time, I'm gonna be creating dashboards, right? I want my calculation to be available in the dashboard as well. So what you can do right now, this is a data module. From this menu, actions menu, you can select edit data module. Let's create a calculation. That, first of all, there are two types of calculation. One is embedded calculation, right? And one is standalone calculation. Embedded calculation is when the value is stored in each row of data. In every row of data, you have a value stored. Standalone is when you store a single value separately, okay? Now, let's do this. You have what? Monthly premium, right? Suppose that I want to, well, let's start from an easier one. The easiest one, probably, you have a monthly premium auto, right? Monthly premium. Suppose that I want to create a calculation that tracks annual premium, right? So one way to do that is this. I can click on my monthly, right? So this is the monthly. Click here, and I can do what? Create calculation, right? Well, I want to use the calculation editor. I click calculation editor. Now what I want to do, I want to do something like, and the calculation will add a new column. Remember, calculation will add a new column. I can say this annual premium auto, right? That's going to be the column name. That's going to be a new column. Well, and how is it defined? It's going to take this monthly and going to do what? Multiply by 12, okay? Now what we're going to do, we have to validate to make sure it's valid. It's valid. Now here preview will make sense because you're going to see the monthly and this is the annual. Well, so if you quickly grab the calculator, 69 times 12, it's supposed to be 828, right? So that's just preview. It's going to add another column. This is a column name. You scroll down, you click OK. This is another column. It's a calculated column, okay? And it also can be used for analysis, of course. And if you click here, see this, you can if you look at the properties, see here, well, you can do view and edit. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the monthly. I need to be looking at the annual. And for some reason, it adds it first. See this? It's here. See this? Annual. This is the calculated column, annual. I'm going to click on expression, view, and edit. See this? This is what we just did. Premium auto times 12. Sometimes, you may need to make some changes. Perhaps suppose that there is a little tax that it charges you once per year, something like that. So this was the easiest one, hopefully. All right, now suppose that I want to calculate the average premium in a state, okay? For each state, I want to know the average premium. I still want the value to be stored in each row, right? But this is going to be a little bit complex because I want to do the average for the state. So what I need to do here is this. I can go here, and I'm going to go to the calculation. And I still want it to be, I wanted to show once for each row. And the calculation name, let's say average state premium, right? State premium. Okay. Premium. Cannot type, huh? Okay, now, so what you're gonna do in here is this. You want to take the average, right? Do you remember we had the average function before? Summary, I'm gonna do average. Average what field? Well, I'm looking at the monthly premium, right? So I'm gonna scroll here. This is what monthly premium auto, right? But I don't want to see the overall average, right? But what I want to see is average for, and I want to select the field, and the field is going to be state, okay? Along with the average, I want to select the for the state, okay? So let's see, let's preview, let's see what happens. I hope I'm doing it right because, okay. Well, that's pretty fine to make sure things look nice. Let's do the preview, okay? Well, preview is supposed to show you, this is the average, right? This is the average for Iowa. See this? It just shows you the first few rows. But this is the average for Iowa, and this is that individual monthly preview, okay? So now I'm gonna click OK, and this should be added as a column, okay? Well, see this is added as a column, average monthly premium. It's added as a column, and in each row, it's gonna show you per state, right? It's gonna show you per state. Okay, now suppose that I want to do the calculation for the overall average. I need it for some reason as a calculation. Am I going to store that value in every single row? No, because that saves the space. I want to store it once, right? So how do I do it? I'm going to create a different calculation. Look at where I'm clicking right now. I'm clicking right now here, right? I'm going to add a new calculation, and I'm going to call it as overall premium average, right? Overall premium average. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is same thing. I'm gonna do the summary, and I'm gonna do the average, and then I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna take what premium. I like to drag and drop in here because when you type it, sometimes it does not pick up the column right. So where is it? Monthly premium. Here it is. Okay. I'm just gonna do that. Well, do you see this? What is this? Well, this is a worksheet name. Remember, the data was read from Excel file to create the data module. The Excel file has a worksheet, and this is the name of the first worksheet, or first tab, if you want to call it, okay? So that's what it is. It's taken from the first tab of that Excel file that was uploaded, and this is a column name, okay? And now, instead of creating the value for each row, it's going to create a standalone value. Close. Well, do you see where it's added? It's added right here, once. It's stored once. It's not stored with each row, right? This is called the standalone calculation. Embedded calculation is stored with each row. Standalone is stored only once, okay? And I can save it now. Well, so that's calculation. Calculations create new columns, remember that. And they will be available for visualization. Data groups. Well, the data group is also known as binning, but let me provide you another example here that you run into there, I would say. Your grade. For your assignment, you're going to get the numeric grade, right? Like 85%, 95%, 90%. But at the end of the semester, when you look at your academic record, that's not the actual percentage that is recorded. It's a letter grade, right? A, B, C, etc. So this is an example of the binning. 90% through 100 is an A, right? Is a bin label A. Is an 80 through 89 is a bin label B, right? Right? So in here, you're binning what numeric value, right? By default, when you define the group, by default, there are 5 bins, okay? It's trying to have the number of values in each bin approximately the same, which thank goodness is not the case for your grades, but it just telling you what it does by default. It's gonna approximately try to have approximately the same number of records in each bin, but you may edit the boundaries between groups and the number of groups. So to create the data group, you need to click on the column heading, and in here it's an explanation, okay? So for example, here it's taking the number of policies. It's taking the numeric column, number of policies. So I can review my data here. It closes. So I have this column called number of policies. And if I cannot find the column, I can just type it here, number. Okay, here it is. Well, number of policies here, right? I can click here and I can click on create group. In this case, it's a number, right? It's going to create number of policies group. 8 and above, right? It's going to create several categories, 5 by default. I have 8 and above, 6 from 6 to under 8, so it's going to be 6 or 7. This is going to be 5, 3, 4, and less than 3, okay? Well, this is also useful when you have outliers. Like, for example, suppose that you have somebody with 15 policies. What are you going to do? Well, in this case, that person is going to fall under 8 or above, right? When the data is skewed, sometimes it's helpful to do these bins. Okay, so now I'm going to do create. What's going to happen right now? It's going to add 2 columns, because one column is going to store the label of the bin, and another column is going to store the bin number. Okay, well, this is the original number of policies. This is the original, right, column. But if you look at it, it puts them here. So this is a bin number. Okay, less than 3. So this is a bin label, and this is a bin number. Remember, there were 5 bins, right? Bin number and the label that you see. Okay, that's what it does. That's for numeric. You can also group the categorical column, right? And I have a detailed video how to do that. But, well, remember this. In here, for example, I have see this, I have a policy type, right? And I have a bunch of policy types. And suppose that I want to group them. For example, personal L1, personal L2, personal L3, I want to combine them into category called personal. Corporate L1, corporate L2, etc. I want it to be combined as corporate, right? So sometimes my categorical column has multiple values and I want to combine them in groups, right? That's a purpose. So now I'm going to create another data group and I'm going to go on a policy. So let's find my policy column, right? So that it's going to say something like in here, right? So that's column I want to use. I'm going to do create data group. It's going to create a new column, policy group. But take a look at this. Here, you do not have the predefined groups. What you have to do is you have to create a new group by itself. And you're going to put a group called corporate, right? You're going to create a group called corporate. Now you're going to add values to the group. So here, those are all possible values. You're going to select the group name, you're going to select the value, and you're going to click on this arrow. See this? I'm going to add all of this to corporate. Okay? Now, I'm ready to create a new group. I'm going to do a new group, and I'm going to call it personal, right? I'm going to call it personal. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these values to the personal. Okay? I'm adding these 3 values to the personal. Now what I can do, I want to create a new group, and I'm going to call it special, right? And I'm going to select it, and I'm going to add these values to the special. This is how you do it, right? But if you edit something by accident, to remove it, you would just click here, right? And you would just do clear, something like that, okay? But here, this created the 3 groups. I'm gonna do, okay. Well, here you can just specify how to, if you have new items, right? Or if you have not grouped all of them, right? You can specify what you want to do with the rest, okay? Okay, well, I put all of them in the categories. Like, okay, now it's gonna add another column, and another column will be with the groups, okay? It's gonna be the group. All right, I'm gonna scroll here. Well, this is a group, okay, that I just created, right? And you can always see this. You can always see the properties, but in here, this is an expression, and this is what Cognos wrote for you. It generated the code for you, okay? You do not need to write the code. It wrote this code for you for this column, okay? So I'm gonna just go ahead and save it right now. All right, so we looked at the groups. Let's go back. So we covered some of the stuff in here already. So we covered the spiral model. Oh yes, right? We covered that. But now I guess so we did everything in data module. I'm ready to close data module. I'm going to go back to my exploration, right? I'm going to go back to my exploration. I'm going to open it. Well, watch what happens now. I'm going to go to the fields. Do you see what's going to happen? Do you remember we added these groups? They're here, okay? You only see the column for numeric, you only see the column that shows group label. You don't see the bin numbers, that's a hidden column, okay? But you see the group label. This is what? Average, right? Average for a state. This is annual premium amount. This is then the loan calculations that we did, right? Well, everything is here. But you have to reopen the data exploration. When you edit data module, you have to reopen the data exploration to see it. And remember, we talked about the bullseye diagram, right? We talked about it earlier. So that's on a slide, right? We talked about it, but the slides are slightly different, okay? But if the predictors are less than 10% strength, they are omitted, so just know that. If above 10% strength. We talked about the drivers. Well, for your decision tree, you may exclude certain predictors, and you are asked to do that in assignment 3, okay? You can do the driver analysis. We looked at it, right? And you can look at the specific visualization for each drivers. We looked at this stuff before, right? Yes, you're going to have the slides, absolutely. Yes, you're going to have the slides, you're going to have the recording, and also there is a link to the set of videos that was created for you, okay? Okay, so that's that. We talked about that. But there is another topic that we didn't talk about. I'll get it. Oh, wait, this is a decision tree, right? So basically, we talked about that, but I just didn't talk about the. Oh, thank you, Professor Moreder. Thank you. Okay, but we just didn't talk about this, that you can look at the top 3 and the bottom 3. I just forgot to show you this piece a little bit, but it's just a small detail. Okay, so basically this is a decision tree, right? And I forgot to show you this piece. So see, I can look at the top 5 values or I can look at the bottom 5 values. This is just the nodes that I can filter at, okay? This is just the terminal nodes that I can filter it. I forgot to show you that piece, but this is small, okay? It's a lot of details. It's hard to remember all, but it might be interesting to know that there is a limit to number of nodes, and the limit is 36, okay? Here, the darker the node, the higher is the value. Each leaf node cannot have less than 25 rows. It must be based on at least 25 rows. Otherwise, the splitting stops, okay? And just remember this, the node, you can look at it also statistically similar records because it's giving you the average and it's giving you the deviation. Remember that? We looked at it, right? So that's good news. We already covered those slides. I showed you how to read the rules, right? Remember, you have the 3 sunbursts, you have a diagram, and you have rules. Rules are written in words. 3 diagram is where you can traverse from root to the leaf node. We showed this. And the sunburst shows you the portion of data to which the rule applies. And what I'm doing in the videos that was created for you, I'm looking at the 2 simultaneously, right? And I'm showing you because there are 3 videos in there. If you watch them secretly, you're gonna know how to do your assignment 3. You're gonna know how to do assignment 3 if you watch those 3 videos, okay? But please don't share it with anyone who does not attend this session or who does not attend this recording. Only you need to know if you're watching this recording or if you're attending this session, you need to know that there are 3 videos in there, that if you watch them, that's it, easy, okay? Well, this is just about the sunburst visualization. That's a slide we talked about. It's a hierarchy, right? One thing that we did not cover is a comparison card. I'm gonna cover it. It's the last topic, hopefully. Well, I don't know, unless people have questions. I love questions. But take a look at this. Remember earlier I mentioned the comparison, right? Well, here, let's look at this. This is important. Total claim amount by vehicle class. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna copy this, right? I can duplicate this. But before I copy it, let's do this. I can do the filter. I can apply a filter, and every time, sometimes when I do it, let's remove this filter first. I'm gonna remove it. I'm gonna do a new filter right now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here, and I usually use gender. I usually use gender because it has 2 values only. Now, please work. Okay, there we go. You want to make sure that the field is highlighted. Okay, so this one, I want to do it for the females, right? There we go. Now I'm gonna get to my card. I'm gonna make a copy of this. So this is number 4, right? I'm here. I can click here. I'm gonna make a copy of this, right? Oops, actually, no, I want to duplicate this. Instead, I make a duplicate. So this is a copy. What I'm gonna do in here, I'm gonna go back to this and I'm gonna change my gender to what? To the male, right? Oops. Male, uncheck female. So I've got this two. And what you can do is this. I can select this two. I can select this two, go to the top, and I can do the compare. So what that will do, it will create something called comparison charts, right? In this case, it's looking by the gender. Sometimes I want to know is that if total claim amount could be different by gender. Does gender matter, right? Maybe a little bit for the sport cars, you know, maybe not. So basically, sometimes you want to look at, you want to have a side by side, male gender, female gender, right? You can look at it side by side. That's what basically it is. Okay, but please do not confuse it with comparison visualization types, because the last question in your assignment, in your first assignment, it tells you to do this. So I'm gonna go new. It tells you to create any of the comparison visualization. So if I go to choose type, what you're asked to do is this. See this? For your last question, you can pick any of these, right? And you do any of these visualizations and explain in a paper what the visualization shows, okay? You just pick this, and then you see this, I pick this, and then I can use the data slots to define my fields. Remember, if you have an asterisk, it means it's required, right? So you just drag and drop, you have a visualization, and you need to explain in a paper what it shows, right? So it'll be easy, very easy, right? What is this? Well, well, for the decision tree, you don't have a choice of the algorithm, but I believe it's chi-squared algorithm. It's a chi-squared, and but you don't have there is no way to choose the algorithm, which is a limitation. But well, later on in the next course, you have a lot of opportunities to play around with other methods. Okay, but well, again, here you don't have a choice. But well, you know, that's coming in the upcoming courses. There's going to be a bunch of choices. Okay, so yeah, I hope I answered the question, because in this case there is no way. But well, so you're just basically using what is here. Okay, any other questions? I like questions. Now it's a good time for questions. Okay, yeah, go ahead and ask your questions, please. Oh, and what I like you to do is after this session, whenever you get chance, try to access your account. And let's close this. So here are important things here. So you log in, right? Let's close this. Let's go back to the welcome page. Welcome page. What you need to make sure is that two things. You can log in. Another thing is that when you go to the team content, make sure that you see this. Okay. Oops. This. It should be like this. Make sure that you see this, because two things happen. First is your actual access. You're able to log in. Then there is also this here is controlled by the group. So I had to add you to the group, to data extend group, for you to see this stuff. So basically, if you don't see the contents here, submit the case. This is a very easy fix. Okay. If you don't see this stuff in the team content, it's a very easy fix. Okay. The login information is what I showed you earlier in the session. See, the thing is, something to keep in mind. I like to start sessions sharp on time. So that keeps it in mind for your second session in 4 weeks from now. So I like it sharp. It's me, okay? So here, this is a web page where you go, right? And it's a single sign-on. This is a single sign-on, right? So if you already sign into the classroom, it won't ask you anything. You launch Cognos Analytics, and remember, you have your university email that ends with student.umgc.edu, okay? Then the first part of that email is going to be the user ID, right? It's also called your classroom user ID, something like that. Then it's going to be your password. Remember the word welcome. First letter uppercase. Then you have to have a number. So letter E is replaced with number 3, which is above letter E on the keyboard, exclamation point. Okay? So that's a password. Everybody has the same password. That's just easier. Okay? But you won't be able to access the admin account. Trust me. Don't even try it. Even a different password. Don't try it. Okay, well, I just said. All right. Any other questions? I love students who ask questions. And I love questions because it tells me that people have been paying undivided attention. People have been listening. And again, it's a lot. You will need to watch this more than once. For the recording, it takes a little bit of time to process. So this is what, about more than an hour and a half session. It may take a couple hours until I actually see this recording on the server. So I'll do it as soon as you can, okay? Hello, yes, yes, oh yes, oh yes. I wish it was that simple. No, 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 no. That's not it, so don't even try it, okay? No, 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 no. I wish it was that simple. No, they're smart. People at the university who created my admin account, they're very smart. Trust me. I mean, they are not going to run it, right? I run it, but they are smart in terms of creating passwords. I know how to do it, right? And for you, I created the password for you. The way that it meets the policy and it's easy to remember. I had to meet the Cognos policy, okay? Right? So I hope I answered the question. So don't even try it. It's not that simple. Okay? And even if you log in, what you're gonna do next? See, that's the reason why your assignment 2 is hidden, because okay, you log in, right? Well, it's a temptation because you see assignment 2 has a higher point value than this assignment, and you're tempted to jump to assignment that has a higher value for the grade. but what you're gonna do, okay? You open the assignment, what you're gonna do if you don't know how to access your account? So you have to do that first, but I recommend do it as soon as possible. Then you have more time for assignment 2 because it takes time. Assignment 2 takes time, right? Yes, that's right. You have to do that exercise first, and that exercise will, submission of that exercise will unlock assignment 2, okay? It's intentional because people tend to jump to assignment that has the highest value for the grade. But then the problem is you go to it and you don't know what to do. You lost, right? So you want to make sure that you use time effectively, that you do things in the right order. That's the reason for this, okay? It's not to hurt anybody, it's to help you, okay? So any other questions, concerns, anything? And please remember to mark your calendar. So today is the 7th, 4 weeks from now, it's gonna be July 5th, right? No, I'm looking at 4 weeks from now. That's when we're gonna have our next session, right? And remember this, I like to start sharp on time, okay? Because it's a lot to cover and I respect people's time, okay? So when possible, I try to start sharp. So please make sure you're on time, or maybe to be safe, just maybe a couple minutes early in case you're running into technical issues. Okay, so don't miss out. Okay, all right. Anything else? Okay. Anything else that instructor, Professor Moreta, anything you would like to add because you'll be great in the work, you know? No? Well, you know. Oh, and also, one thing I mentioned the videos, right? There is a link in the classroom to the videos. There is a channel on YouTube, and this is the videos. Okay, so that's a channel here. And there is a lifesaver for assignment 3. Okay, but please don't share it with anybody not watching this recording. Don't share with anybody who is not paying attention. Okay, see here? Well, you see this? This is a driver analysis, decision tree, and a sunburst. These three guys here, very important for assignment 3. If you watch it, if you really understand this in depth, you're gonna be good. At least to be guaranteed, probably. Well, not no guarantee, but students who watch this and literally understand this, they usually get at least 80%. Well, it's a correlation, I think. Okay, so this will give you at least 80% of what you need, but it's not gonna say here is the answer to question 1. It's not gonna say here is the answer to question 2, but it will cover what you need to do to answer question 1 and 2. Okay, so trust me, I got you covered. Okay, all right. Well, yeah, I'm joking. Professor Moreta likes to joke. Well, but people who don't read announcements are not gonna know, right? Yep. So, anyways, okay. Anything else? Let me see the chat. It's kind of difficult to see a bunch of windows here. Okay, anything else? And if we need more, short videos, I'll do it. Oh, it's okay, Professor Moreta. You can post questions in the chat if you want to. Okay, if there are no more questions, then we're gonna call it a night. And remember, what's gonna happen in 4 weeks? Mark your calendar to make sure that, if possible, it's better to attend, right? By that time, you're gonna be familiar with the software. You might have some questions. Okay. All right. So, any other questions, concerns, going once, going twice? If there are no, oops, what happened? I stopped. Okay. What am I doing? If there are no, then I'm gonna end the recording, and I'm gonna end the recording. Okay. So now I have to figure out. Oh, okay. I did something. Share screen. Okay, now I'm gonna end the recording and I'm gonna end this session. Stop recording. Okay, and I'm gonna end. Stop recording.